Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, 1984's Love Scenes. This is 1984's Love Scenes. This is the DVD here put out by the Private Screening Collection. I believe they're associated with SEVERIN Films. And it says Ryko Distribution as well. I purchased this off of the SEVERIN website about a year ago for about 15, 16 bucks, something like that. And this is Love Scenes right here. And this is actually directed by the same director that did The Beach Girls, which I've also reviewed in this YouTube page, as well as other films like the X-rated Alice in Wonderland, Nightmare in Wax. And this is actually put out by Playboy Productions, as it says in the back here. And it stars Tiffany Bowling, who's from the Candy Snatchers, Bonnie's Kids, and one of my personal favorites, the Centerfold Girls. So this is Tiffany Bowling here in Love Scenes, and this is 1984. This is a 94-minute film directed by Bud Townsend, who did one of my favorites, The Beach Girls, and this couldn't be more different than The Beach Girls. So let's get into this film here, folks. I have some notes written down, so you might see my eyes divert. And we have a quote on the front of this DVD release here from All Movie Guide, and it says, "A heavy breather with plentiful nudity and offbeat twists." Let's get into 1984's Love Scenes. You know, Love Scenes really has that element of, wow, this was a late night cable movie, or it has that feel, it has that vibe that it could have been a late night cable kind of regular. And I think it might have been, I'm not exactly sure, I never saw it, and I was familiar with late night cable offerings like a movie that I looked at on this YouTube page already called The Sinful Bed, a German film, but this one I don't remember coming across. And I was so enthralled, I was so sucked into this movie that I lost track of time. I lost track of the 94 minutes. I was completely enraptured into this film, into the drama of the film, into the story of the film, into the sexuality of the film. I was completely sucked into this movie. And it was one of those cases that I believe I was like sitting down in my chair, and I wasn't moving. Like I really wasn't moving much. I was so taken in. Love Scenes is a movie that deals with a husband and wife duo who both work in Hollywood. And the husband is a director, his wife is an actress. And a new role comes along, and for one of the husband's new films, and he decides to ask his wife if she would like to star in this film, and it happens to be an erotic film, an erotic film with nudity, and something that his wife really doesn't do. It's a type of film that she doesn't normally do at all. And her journey, she and her husband's journey into making this movie connects, exposes, and also kind of brings to light another journey, their personal marriage journey as well, tied to this film. And because of the film, and maybe some things that have always been there. This is Love Scenes 1984. Let's get into this movie here, folks. I have some notes here, as I stated. I want to look at the music first. The music in this movie was composed by Ted Scotty. And we have some ecstatic synth, mysterious 80s synth. You know, I think of the word ecstasy when I think of the synth in this film, especially in the opening of the movie. We have 80s jazz as well. You know, kind of 80s late night cable movie jazz. We have darker 80s piano pieces in this film, and a main theme of the movie that is so enthralling. And then when you'll hear it throughout the film at the right times. that it's piano based, that when the movie is over, or it's like kind of synth piano based. When the movie's over, it'll be replaying in your head, but not in an annoying fashion. It'll be replaying in your head in this kind of hypnotic fashion, as it is for me right now. There is, in terms of music, we also have kind of emotional synth, intense, late night, and just plain out perfect. There's elements to the music and to the movie itself that kind of have this melding of romantic sleaze. There's elements, the music has that, but also the movie itself can have that at times, like romantic sleaze. There's so many meldings of different types of sexploitation in this film, and one of them is you could almost see the cover of this DVD on a really sleazy woman's novel in some form or fashion. I mean, not this particular cover, but I'm saying you could have one of those covers for this DVD. But that's only one piece of one element of the sexploitation of this film. There are other elements as well, just some of the more common elements. But this is an element that you don't typically see represented much in the sexploitation arena, which is that late night cable romantic sleaze. Put those two things together. But then there's also just the 80s sexploitation in here as well. And we're going to get into that. So let's look at this movie some more here. Now, the interesting thing is we have this awesome beach house in this movie. Awesome beach scenes. This unbelievable house right on the beach reminded me a bit at times of Uncle Carl's in The Beach Girls, of Uncle Carl's house. I don't think it is the same house, but just this lush, it feels like Hollywood, it feels expensive, huge windows, ocean right there. It's a film that thematically, story-wise, deals with the movie-making process and photography. We have this great character who plays the producer. I love him. Older guy, cigar chomping, tons of women around him, very business, very quick, looking out for the money, looking out for the movie, making sure it happens, getting the marketing, getting the interviews done. And he's great. He has an interesting relationship with the husband and wife as well. He's just the perfect older man producer. This is a film that also thematically deals with the element of sexploitation films, erotic films, sex movies, even a bit of kind of porno movies. It's some interesting dialogue in the film as the producer's trying to figure out what kind of rating the movie's going to get that they're making. Is it going to be R? Is it going to be a hard R, as it says, or is it going to get an X? It's even mentioned in a kind of a press interview that we also see for the movie. There's a great shot of the beach at dusk. Some great shots of running in the beach, running into the ocean on the beach at dusk. And this film is so special because it's a movie within a movie, and you're actually watching the scenes of the movie being filmed. And I believe the movie is called Love Scenes that they're doing, or I could be wrong on that. I'm blanking a little bit, but you're watching the making of a movie. But the amazing, fascinating thing is that the making of this movie is also reflecting real life for the couple and for other people involved in the film. It's fascinating, and it's also enthralling, and it's also not taking up time unnecessarily. Sometimes movies within movies, you're kind of, just kind of watching the movie. It's still great, but in this particular case, the movie within the movie is still telling the story of the movie. And you have to ask yourself, how about the people that are actually making this movie, Love Scenes? They're making a movie that is dealing with a movie within a movie. And because of the themes that are happening in this film with marriage and and making sex films and making movies in general, I was wondering like how Tiffany Bowling was viewing making this movie called Love Scenes, and how the rest of the cast was doing it. You know, really enthralling. There's some themes in here of sex within marriage, and lies in the marriage bed, female orgasm, self-discovery. That's a big one. Self-discovery. Female liberation. Another one. There's this great character who plays the editor. This girl who plays the editor. I know I've seen her a million times before in other 80s films and maybe beyond, but you'll definitely recognize her if you look her up on IMDb as well. The girl that plays kind of the editor in the film. She's awesome too. And also kind of the idea of having... Sometimes people always wonder this, like, oh, how does the director direct his spouse in a movie where there's a nude scene or a sex scene? You know, how does that happen? How does the director feel about that? This movie deals with that theme as well. And interestingly enough, it also deals with kind of a lot of the elements that sometimes people wonder about in sexploitation films or erotic films. We have some interesting stuff dealing with S&M in this movie as well that gets a bit dark, with some red lighting. You kind of get into the idea of the closed set, you know, in movies with nudity or, you know, sexploitation films. We deal a bit with lesbianism in this film in a very interesting fashion, both cinematically and also emotionally and sexually. And the interesting thing about Love Scenes is, yes, you have topless nudity, you know, for the you know, beginning portion of the film and such. But then in like the second half of the film is really when the nudity explodes in the movie, and you're not expecting it at all. Full nudity, you know, full nudity, full frontal, and you're not expecting it at all. The simulated sex scenes are, you know, really sexy. I thought they were really well done. And there's a scene in the movie within a movie that I don't want to give away too much. That's a sex scene that is unreal and believable. And I have to tell you, Tiffany Bowling's role, this girl right here plays the lead. She's unbelievable. I mean, I see all these Hollywood people winning Oscars. I thought she was unbelievable in this film. Her acting was amazing. The acting for everybody in this film I thought was awesome. Top of the line. Everything was great. There's really interesting last scene of this film, a sex scene, the last scene of this film, where the actors are speaking, but the music is over it, and all you can hear is the music, but they're mouthing words, and you wonder, what are they saying? You know, is this the secret? Are these the secret words that people wonder what Bill Murray says to Scarlett Johansson at the end of Lost in Translation by, you know, Sofia Coppola? It says in the back here, illicit affairs, forbidden desires, adultery, voyeurism, sapphic temptation, wanton orgies, passion, ecstasy, cinema sex. This is Love Scenes. This is a pretty complex and deep, awesome film. If you love sexploitation films, you're going to love a movie about sexploitation films and about sex. Here it is, folks. 1984's Love Scenes. Loved it. Thank you so much, and good night.